We are here at the second quality roundtable of PV Magazine at Forum Solar Praxis in Berlin. And I'm joined by Stephan Padlewski, he's marketing manager for DuPont Photovoltaic Solutions. You investigated very much quality problems in the field. What are your main results?
Well, the main result, unfortunately, doesn't look so good at the moment. We do see a lot of issues, actually, throughout our field survey programs. I mentioned today that, according to our field survey program, almost 50% of the panel that we surveyed displayed some early sign of degradations. So that's a pretty high numbers, and that spanned from snail trail, ribbon corrosions, some various backsheet degradations. So not necessarily functional problem initially, but early sign that could evolve into more serious issue down the roads.
So the module still performed right, but you assume that these signs of degradation will lead to more severe defects in the future?
Yes, probably not to all of them, but for a large portion of them, yes, we do expect that to happen. There are cases like when you do see a snail trail. In fact, today one of the case scenarios that was discussed was a snail trail. What may have started as a snail trail that eventually degraded into a more serious crack isolating portion of the cells that generating some hotspots, and then a more serious degradation that resulted from that.
Hält Hotspots für ein ernsthaftes Risiko. Das ist doch schon ganz eindrucksvoll. Das will ich jetzt gar nicht so schnell auszählen, aber ich würde sagen, es war deutlich mehr als die Hälfte.
From the hotspots we've seen, at the end of this journey, unfortunate journey, we've seen some shunt, high temperature shunt that basically degraded completely the panels. So yes, some of the snail trail may eventually evolve to something much more serious, as we've seen today in one of the cases that was discussed. So, but not all of them. Not all of them, and it's pretty hard, from what we've seen at least, to predict exactly, what would be the percentage of the panel that were affected by some visual sign of degradation. What percentage would be effectively have to be replaced?
And can you already say something to the percentage?
It's a fair amount of percentage. I discussing with companies involved in O&M activities. There were an assumption a couple of years ago that 1% of the panel would have to be replaced. It looks like the number is much higher than that at the moment by the end of the lifetime or the expected lifetime of the module. It's a little bit early to give you proper numbers. It will be a pure guess, and it certainly will require more work. And in fact, that's one of the stages we are entering right now throughout our field survey program, is to correlate the visual sign of the degradation with the power loss that will effectively impact the systems. So that's probably another discussion we should have in a year or 2 years from now, and where we'll be a little bit more specific to give you a percentage, of panel affected.
We just had our quality roundtable where we just discussed several cases. What did you impress you the most?
I mean, clearly the competencies. Everybody in this room is basically an expert from their own fields, coming from a different angle. Whether you are downstream, they obviously have a certain insights on the kind of problem they are facing in the field. And for more upstream module manufacturers, that was interesting that not many module manufacturers were actually vocal today. It would be good to involve them.
But they were in the room.
I know. They had the room, and then obviously the materials suppliers are obviously big stakeholders, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned earlier, materials are very important. So one of the key aspects and one of the key messages we want to bring is to have full visibility for the industry to learn from the mistake. It's not a problem to make a mistake once. It's a problem when you make it twice. So we should learn from the mistake and avoid that happening in the future for the good and the sustainability of this industry.
DuPont is manufacturing materials which you deliver to the module and cell manufacturers. What is your motivation that you look so much in downstream quality issues in discussions like this?
Well, you learn from the field, really. I mean, one of the issue of this industry is the lack of proper testing protocol. We all use IEC-based certification process that involve accelerated stress testing protocols. Now, we all know that they are not a good predictors to see what will happen in a real-life environment for a module and for a system in a different climatic environment. So that's one of the shortcomings that we have. Now, as a material suppliers, for us, it's absolutely critical to understand how material do age in the field, what kind of material, what kind of chemistries have what kind of problems, because for us it's really important to learn from the field in order to be able to recommend the proper materials for the certain type of application in order to mitigate the risks at the end of the day. So our interest is very high, of course, because in many cases defects that are observed, I shared today example of backsheet related problems. Now, not all backsheet would fail in the field. We know that in certain situations some material would perform much better than others. So it's very important, and the only way we can learn that is from the field. So that's why we do spend so much time in the field.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.